welcome everybody. Hopefully, in these trying times, sort of got every successive week just seems to make 2020 even worse. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic week. We are here to round off another week with some fantastic Dwarf Fortress. And we are going to have to make a new world with a new base because the last one I tried to do, I misunderstood what was missing, and we started the base with nothing except 10. So we try to make a 10-pot little shack. We try to drop some rocks on people to maybe steal their stuff. None of that worked. And the area wasn't supposed to be cold, and it was just freezing. So none of that worked at all. We're gonna try this again. We're going to set up another run through. I'm gonna go for large region, not island. I don't want all that water around us. And I keep plummeting the werebeast to 0, and that seems to make them not happen. I'll just set them to, we'll say 100. That way we're not slammed with them at the beginning. Because my limitation, my withdrawal, my suppression of werebeast attacks is, while it has allowed us to finally have vampire attacks, we've now gotten multiple of them. So not dealing with that too much. Yep, let's do this. We'll let this create. That music was generic Dwarf Fortress, not the sound program. Awkward. We'll just have to do a little bit of meandering for now to fix that. Now, what can we be doing? The idea that we were going to be going with was that we're creating everything on point, but what was the actual base I was trying to do? Everyone in the military, barrack style, that's it. So relatively flat. That's what we're gonna be trying to go for. I might have to do a few, possibly, you know, wish list searches, not necessarily bad locations, but assuming they don't pop up, we'll have to relax our requirements. One of the things I'm going with is that the area is going to be hot. I really do not want things freezing on me right now. That is annoying. And the fact that the last base we had was supposedly warm, and when we got there, it was just frozen. And it was frozen the entire time that base existed. So definitely one of the top things is going to be flat, like hot. I want to possibly have to worry maybe about dehydration, which also means that we are going to need to make sure possibly that we have an aquifer, a brook, or a river, something to be bringing in water, because we're going to have a rather dry area. And I don't know, I just really like always having water. Though I do usually rely on a river for fish supply. You don't go fishing really too much in the military in terms of doing your own thing. So we're going to go more towards farming. So probably not necessarily a brook or a river, though I would like it on the edge so I can do my normal defensive things. I do like defenses, but maybe not doing the standardized fish hut. That's what I always rely on for food. It's an easy cop out. It's like doing easy mode. Let's try to not do fish. We'll do more in terms of farming, get a variety of plants going, and we'll go off of that. Now, I don't know, I didn't pay attention to the years again. It's like 75, 150, 250 or something like that, right? Or 125, 250. I will try to stop this at around 200. if it ends up taking just a bit too long, because that can be obnoxious. Kind of weird though that it does. I mean, I did do a gigantic map. Probably could have just done a reduced map and we would have had less issues. Perhaps I'll stop it at 175 just for the sake of patience. You know, me not having any and all. And the one music stopped. This is why I only muted. Ooh. We'll try to go for this. I'm gonna hit it now, see if I can catch a 140 as 175 stop. It worked. Use rule as it currently exists. Give me that 175. Sweet. And we'll accept this as is. I need to in the future. I have an idea of after the streams. I gotta try to remember this. There's a lot of things I always try to do. I gotta try to start exporting the maps and things so that people have stuff on the Discord to be looking at. I'll write that down. Export files for Discord. That way, because I know a lot of people love reading that stuff. Maybe strip out the Legends viewer with just those particular files. You don't really, because that would definitely save up on memory if that's what I ended up doing. All right, let us go with that. I didn't actually see the name of the world, which was kind of a bummer. Why are you pooping? Hold on, I apologize. What are you? Nothing. All right. All right. Let us. I want flat. And where's temperature? I need this to be hot. Evil, good, aquifer, waterfall, flat. I said yes. I would prefer. This is me gonna go with the wish list search right now. Flux, coal, and iron. And then I just want it hot. Just sworn that there was one the temperature. Am I just going? Oh, freezing. Freezing's the temp one, isn't it? Freezing. Never frozen. Lose search for that, assuming we're not gonna find much. Let's say a lot of squares just popped up there, assuming we're not gonna find much, and then we'll bring it down. Hey, Artist Stuttering, how you doing? How has your week been? Hopefully, without any bad things happening. A heaven on earth, if you will, where butterflies carry down happy news to you, and you were able to consume it on the daily. How you been? I'm actually getting a lot more greens than I thought I would. It's gotta be a way to say not in the ocean, because up top, that's a inland lake, right? At parents look on my laptop, pretty boring week was okay. Doing some Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. That's nice. That is some good. I think the most successful thing I did on Cataclysm on stream was there was a cop start. So I played Paul Blart Mall Cop versus the zombie. I ended up dying every time. That was like the longest I was surviving in that game. Was just as a mall guy. Even the in-game audio stopped there. That's depressingly quiet. There's a bunch of starts. I usually play OP soldiers. Begone, vile demons. Yap yap. Like oh, what's the anime? Gate and then Japanese Self-Defense Force went in, or whatever the hell that full title actually is. Something weird. And then the JSDF went forth. Gate. Probably shouldn't have made the map so big. If I was going to be doing it as region and not island, I should have made the map smaller. Gate, yeah, pretty good. It is. A lot of people, I think, don't give credit where it is for that show. Yes, it's basically a power fantasy. I'll admit this. However, every single anime that has fantasy settings, fantasy is the winner. The few times it doesn't, they tend to do it over the top for like no reason. It makes like, let's just throw everything out the window and make no sense. But Gate, at the very least, was like, yeah, we're in another realm. Gods exist. Magic exists. But let's face it, in a world where there's magic and not technology, science is probably lacking. So let's show them what guns and missiles are. Like, I like those type of interactions. The, what's the term? Anachronistic interactions. Where those type of things should not be fighting each other. Because as good as a bunch of other ones are, it's just fantasy on fantasy. It's like, oh, who's got the super unique spell this time? Or who's got a new take on ice or fire magic or reincarnation or pew-pew lasers. Sometimes they have the spells that are just basically pew-pew lasers with like no science behind it. That's why there's another one called like Magic and Mechas. I forget what that show is called. It's a half, I don't want to say half-assed. I want to say an isekai light. Dude dies, wakes up in other world, kind of half, not really, has memories of the regular world. But the big draw is just that in the regular world, the dude was a fan of mech anime and things. So in the show, there are mechs that are run by magic. And he has to invent new technology. He doesn't borrow technology from America. He's not actually carrying any, super knowledge over, just his love of mechs. But this also means that anytime they talk about magic and or the technology behind it, they are actually going into detail as to how it might work. I like those type of things where they make the magic have physics. In Gate, though, there's the female wizard? I don't know technically what she's called. Witch? She ends up super strong because she learns like railguns and stuff. She doesn't learn the actual technology behind it, but she's like, oh, if you get an explosion and condense it, you can get something very small to go very fast. And it can pierce things. I will now invent super versions of fireballs. Instead of big booms, I'll do control tiny booms with shrapnel. And she ended up being strong just because of pure knowledge and science of the magic. Yeah, he's like an OP scientist. Yeah, but he like, so, but like a lot of like, oh, I got to carry through my book or something, and it's like, well, okay, then you're kind of shortcutting everything. In that one though, like he was OP, but anytime he was OP, he went into detail about why he was OP. Yes, a singular quote unquote magic muscle can only pull X amount of pounds. But what if, we wove them together like rope and reinforced them with this? Now you have something along the shape of what an actual muscle would be like, and voila, it's very strong. So on and so forth. That shit was pretty fucking good. This season, yeah, there's a lot this season that are a bit lacking in that regard. Though I have hopes. The first episode did not do anything for keeping my hopes up, but I have hopes for irregulars at Magic High, because that's the type of anime where they kind of half go into the science behind the magic, because magic is technology in that show. So I have hopes for that one. The first episode of the new season, though, is just like, what the hell are you talking about? Let's see. If we go here, Hey, Cyrillac. How you doing? The little sound sense thing is having issues until I launch. I think if I do this, I'll get to do a song again. There we go. I didn't want to do it while I was world creation because it was going slow. How you doing, Cyrillac? We were discussing the actual results of the anime this season. I believe it was last weekend, perhaps the weekend before. I think it was last weekend, where we went over the actual list of animes. We made fun of some of the descriptions. That first episode of The Irregulars of Magic High was just awful storytelling. I don't think there was actual plot in it. Like, what is the purpose? What is going on here? Even what was driving me crazy? Hold on. What was driving me crazy? It was, is it wrong to pick up chicks in a dungeon? I don't know who watches that anime. Whoever watches that anime, if any of you watch that particular anime, am I crazy or does that plot not make sense right now? Because what they have going on right now is this sad story of no one accepting the monster girl. Except for their entire civilization is made of monster people. So I genuinely do not understand what the plot is. Like, I see the plot, I'm following the plot, I don't understand the plot. It makes no sense to me. They're all like, the majority of everyone is a monster person, but they're hating on this one girl for being a monster girl. You have elves, dwarves, halflings, cat girls, rabbit girls, things like that. I mean, they have males too, but what the character deals with, he generally just deals with females. Anyways, you have actual fantastical races, not just humans, that everyone sees like a wing, and they're like, oh my god, it's a monster! We gotta kill it! You got fucking big old lino in the back, things like that, no one cares. Magic swords, gods even, walking around. But they're gonna spaz and throw rocks at this one little monster girl who's tiny? It's not even attacking anyone? Right, what do we have here? Scorching, fine with that. Heavily forested, thick wilderness. There is a stream, shell metal, flux stone, iron chalk, lignite, flux, all that good jazz. It says flat. I'll go with that. I'm liking this area. Dwarves, humans, and elves are my neighbors, not necessarily any goblins. So there's a good chance that either we just randomly get attacked or I have to go out on the march to try to entice people to attack. Probably by constantly robbing from the elves is what we're gonna have to do there. We're gonna have to entice them into attacking. But that will give me enough time to hammer out how the hell I'm gonna be doing a barracks build. Now, where are we in the main map? We are here in this map, which means we are here in that map. Which civ is closest? This is the only civ that's remotely close to the Teal Gates. This is not gonna work well. Embark. We'll do the annotated craft lords. It's gonna have an issue. I now know to manually hit P. I swear it used to just give you the list, but all right. So we're missing every ore we need for this build to work. Good. We're missing anvils. And if we have no anvils, we're screwed. Let's just all be clear on that. If we have no anvils, we're screwed and I can't back out at this point. No bauxite. No cassiterite. Cassiterite used for silver? And no malachite. I think malachite's copper. Now, I genuinely believe this is what happened on the last one of these we did, which is I didn't have anything. Anvil. No anvils. How does a dwarven civilization not have anvils? So I can't build anything. If I do this start, we're now screwed. I literally cannot play. What? You can't smelt metal without an anvil, not to create another anvil, which means I would need to start with an axe, and I would need to start with a pick. Like, the whole purpose of this is to craft things from nothing. I just need to quit. I just need to kill this off and find it again. There's just no way for that to work. I would like a backup command in that position. In a few hours, I'll be sent. Oh, nice. It was last week. I do watch it. Nope, it doesn't. Suddenly sentient monsters. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Or it's not even the sentient monsters that get me. It's that nobody is willing to countenance the idea of there being a sentient monster. It's like, you're all monsters. You are yourself, in fact. You are, in fact, yourself a monster. Why are you so angry right now? And the longer the episode went on, and the more they were all like screaming at the girl, basically, the more I was like, I don't even understand why. I genuinely feel like something's just whooshing over my head. Because maybe I would understand it if they were like, because they have at the beginning are like, oh, it's an X creature. They are evil. I could kind of maybe understand that. Maybe if it's that particular one in general. But as the episode goes on, they're clearly just like, oh, look at that. It is a monster. You know, some of them don't even know what the hell the race is. They're just, oh, look, it is something that is not one of the multitudes of talking animals that are already here. It is a different type of thing. Ergo, must be bad. And it's like, you're all horrible races. All right, let's try this again. Flat, flux, coal, never frozen. Did I do anything else? Flat, oh, and iron. Flat, flux, coal, iron, and never frozen. I think that's all I did. New fort and even world. Yep. Yep. Because, well, so I purged the files from the last thing, and if you recall, the last fort was just dead on arrival. We had tried to do a craft everything from the start, going straight into a everyone's in the military barracks setup, open floor plan, big farms, less reliability on fishing, so on and so forth. And because of that thing at the beginning where it doesn't give you anvils and metals, the end of the last base I did, we had an anvil, but the only metal I brought was, I'm forgetting the metal, but it only had 10. You can't make weapons out of. So the whole build was pointless. Yeah. No, the one fort inevitably died. The one long running fort, tree trade, inevitably died. Then I tried doing a new one at the end of the last stream. That base was awful. It was supposed to not be cold. It was completely frozen. The idea was to go there, smelt metals, make the tools, go from there. I only brought the ore for 10. So that was fun. I got bituminous coal confused with coal coke, and instead of bringing 11 bituminous coals to each turn into 8 coal cokes, I brought 1 coal coke for the cost of 11 units. So that didn't do anything. It was awful, and we needed to purge ourselves from that failure with the new base. Also, hello everyone coming in. Hey, Big TJ Elite. Been a while since I've seen you. Either that or you just haven't been an active chatter. That's also possible. Now, I'm not caring too much about aquifers. If we have a light or a heavy, we'll get through it. The big idea to this, unlike the Bowser's Castle, we're not doing that big opening down below. We're going to have a lot of above ground things. We're going to have below ground, but we are going to have a sizable amount of above ground things, as if we're doing every single dwarf in the military, that means they all need to make sure they do not have cave adaptation, which means they need to spend time above ground to either mitigate the accumulation of cave adaptation symptoms or to slowly cure cave adaptation syndrome. So we're gonna have to have a lot of buildings up top just to cause reasons for the dwarves to be in the sun. We are going to have a rather large-ish on the surface presence in terms of walls and things, but that's because it's supposed to kind of look like a barracks with massive farm and thing in the middle. So essentially we're half doing like a human castle, admittedly, but we'll have a lot of below ground presence. It's just if we're gonna fight and everyone's in the military, I have to make sure no one gets cave adaptation. We might just end up doing a massive hole in the middle. Like you have a cave, you have an outer wall, the base, so to speak, an inner wall. That way there's no pathfinding into the giant hole, and then dig out the giant hole in the middle so that down below we can have dwarves that are above ground, but within the sanctity of being below ground. And after, say, the first floor below ground, we just cover that over with wood. So everything below that is above ground, but inside, and use that going forward. Essentially, rather like a volcano base, where you do successive floors above the magma. But how are you guys doing? I see everyone streaming in. Dictator Bob lurks. I get confused in the moderator list. I see a couple of you guys here. Also, my numbers and those names on the right never ever agree. This thing is still borked. This is supposed to show me information and it doesn't, so it kind of defeats the purpose. It happened when OBS updated. Kill dwarfs? All the dwarfs have been killed off. Don't worry about that. So when we start the base, I'll just be able to turn on the script and it should work. The script is not active right now, of course, though. So we were up here. We're not gonna do the closest civ because that just didn't work. Now, where in this mess were we? Hello, Domine. How are you been?
Wow. Starting again? So exciting. Wow.
The other one died. What do you want from me? It was literally everyone shivering to death in a tin pot roof or in a tin pot hut. What did you want to have happen there? We could not build, we could not cut down trees, we could not dig. There was nothing to be gained from that. How you been? Where the hell was I a second ago? That looks convoluted and insane. Is that like a 2x2 grid of water? But it's a brook? That's so weird. I might just build there. What is that? And that's flat, right? So is it just a gigantic square brook? Oh, yeah, it's completely flat. Or is that an intersecting, like it's actually two brooks doing this? I'm gonna go there. Let me make sure I have a different civ. Not that one that didn't have crap. I wish I could save this location and then try to embark in it. Like I can do a note, but it's not gonna save it unless I trigger a save. Please, please don't do the same thing to me again. That is a lot better than last time. We have anvils. We have no bow sight. And we have no starting bituminous coal. I can work off of that. All right, first of all, because I'm bad at remembering the ore names. I did that on the wrong computer. What does bow sight get me again? Is that the copper silver one or is that malachite? Open. Bow sight is aluminum. That's the one I had last time that got me screwed. Why the hell would I be bringing aluminum? Is there a reason to bring aluminum? I guess because it's cheap. Is it the idea is that it's just because it's magma safe? All right, I'm not that worried about bow sight. That, who cares? Probably for like bronze or brass or whatever. All right, I'll make do. Probably why I don't remember what bow sight is. I never use it. What I do need though is we have no coal, so do we have lignite? We have lignite. And we're gonna look over here And pay attention and not screw up like last time, where I only brought one thing of coal coke, not lignite. Now, where are the other stones? 10 malachite, 10 cassiterite, 50 sand. Malachite, cassiterite. Might just end up bringing tons of fuel. Malachite, cassiterite. What, we have silver and copper? Feel like we're gonna have iron somewhere here, and we're gonna have the flux. Do I need other stones? Do I need to bring? Yeah, magnetite's expensive. All right, here's what we're going to do. Rock nuts I'm getting rid of. I just really don't want to deal with them. Sweet pod seeds, maybe we'll keep those. I'll be doing above ground ones too. And dimple cup is just for dye. I can work on dye as a secondary thing. Lignite, I feel like I'm gonna want to be bringing for fuel. I can undo some of what I brought to up each of the boozes by 3 if I can. All right. We'll try that. See how that goes. Better than my dwarf. Malachite is copper, or bring copper mugs. Green glass is magma safe as well. Yep, that's what I was figuring. All right, we'll embark with what I've done here. We actually have things to build this time. Huzzah. You have arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all of Onul Bimbul. There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You're expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you, but it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the cougars get hungry. A new chapter of dwarven history begins here at this place. A mug shat. A shat in a mug. Somebody's muggish hat. A mug us hat. A mugu shat. A mugu shat. FogBasement. Strike the earth. They don't even touch. They were 2 sources of brooks. That's what was going on with that? What the shit? Okay. I can make this work. That is really weird. At least we know we got fresh water. Also, we have brooks directly touching murky pools. So does that mean that those murky pools are unlimited water? They would have to be, right? I swear to God, there's like a drum or something in this thing that makes me think someone's knocking. It's always this song, I believe. Give me a sec, Domine. I see people already trying to jump the bandwagon. All right, dwarfing is now enabled. Why am I trying to have them get rid of trees? First of all, does this work? Good, it does not. They don't have the axe. Stop. The X. I'm confusing myself now. I forgot. We have to start from the beginning with nothing. I got 14 for Domine. I got 7 for Big Orange 415. Why are you not reading? 714 for Domine. I got 7 for Big Orange 14, 6, 7. Big Orange 415. Sirlac got Dwarf 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sirlac, you're currently the mayor. Sorry, it's not a mayor, it's a expedition leader right now. Sirlac. All right, Sirlac, you are the expedition leader / glassmaker. Domine, you are an engraver. And Big Orange 415, you are a mechanic / furnace operator. So just a few steps from king. Art of stuttering got number 7. Let me close that since this works now. 4, 5, 6, 7. Art of stuttering. I don't remember if your name fully fits in here, does it? It does. Kick ass. Art of stuttering. You are our weaponsmith. We really are just designed to do this, aren't we? All right. Build furnace. Wood furnace. No, we already have a coke to run the fuel. I don't need a wood furnace. Smelter. Use the copper bar to build this. So I can get fuel, unbuild it, rebuild it with the coke. I'm gonna make coke from lignite about 3 times. That's gonna give me 8 fuel. Probably should have only done it with 1 if I wanted to be really go-getting, but whatever. Actually, like once that does coke, I can just build one before I demolish this one. Because now we have that coke available to build this one. He's still working on that. I'm gonna cancel the 3rd one. I'm gonna switch over to this one to say make coke from lignite. As soon as he's done with that up there, we'll just deconstruct that building so we can get the copper and try to smelt. And cancel that one now. Because you have the copper I need to make something? No, I need a weaponsmith. No, I need a metalsmith. Build workshop. Metalsmith. It has been a while since I've done one of these, so just bear with me slightly. Use the excess coke as the fuel, as the fire-resistant material. As stupid as that sounds. And can it be done in 1? I thought it actually needed 2 or 3. But why would you only have 1 to begin with? Copper axe? No, I guess it is just in 1. Okay. That has now made our high quality copper battle axe. Is anyone into wood cutting? No, they are not. All right, let us sort by profession and see who we have not doing things. Mechanic, pump operator, furnace operating, weaponsmith, armorsmith, blacksmith, metalsmith, architect, mason, wood cutting. Oh, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Now we can cut down the trees and we have something to work with. Huzzah! Good afternoon, Dragomin for the win. Dragominers for the win. I engrave and nothing else. Let none question my engraving capabilities. He's cutting down things. I now need this to just go ham on making coke from lignite. There's not a quality system that we care about for lignite, and I believe that still builds up his furnace skill. So we might as well get that built up on something we don't really care about. We're starting to get the wood, so build construction floor. We're going to use the wood to cover over the things we could fall into and lose wood in. We're gonna spend wood to never lose wood, as stupid as that sounds. And I neglected at the beginning of this to actually see what we have for plants on this map. Now, as it is so very hot here, we're going to be going through alcohol at a prodigious rate. So a lot of our smelters, early crafters, we're actually gonna have to switch over to more mundane classes, such as farming. Why are some of these white? I thought they were wood. Oh, because I made them out of mushroom wood. Hey, Eldritch, how you doing? These are all safe. This is a brook, so these are all safe. And these are all safe to mine. None of those will hit water. I just got here. What kind of place are we in? So, this is me trying to do the plan from the end of last stream that I failed horribly at. The idea is that I'm not, it should not be on, it might be on. Nobody's requesting to be in the military because everyone is an infantryman first before their other jobs. Everyone is going to get recruited into the military. We are going to do a gigantic barracks slash military base. And the particular map we're on showed a weird square of brooks. So I went with that, and it turns out that we have 3 brook sources that become 2 brook streams leaving us. So this is the core map that we're on. I'm cutting down the wood that we just made off of raw copper and lignite that we brought with us. And soon I am turning more of the lignite into just fuel. We're going to make either more axes or a pick and so on and so forth to continue on with our day. Creepy brook fingers. But, like, it's kind of weird that the brook is running through murky ponds, isn't it? Like, shouldn't that then be a brook start? Because I feel like this square feeds that square now. Yeah. And as my usual paranoid self, we specifically, now last time I said we looked for a place that said it wasn't gonna freeze. This place also said never freezes, so it shouldn't. The actual biome said scorching, which means I believe our dwarves go through their alcohol reserves at a faster rate. So we are gonna need to focus, if nothing else, above ground farms so that we can make sure we have a good supply of alcohol. I'm just gonna cover up some of this early non-brook water that has me paranoid, particularly as I don't want wood getting lost into it. But since supposedly it's scorching, nothing should ever freeze, which means we shouldn't have to worry about dwarves somehow falling in it when it thaws. Alright, they'll cover all of that. Once they've covered all that, I can free to mine all of this or cut down. Now we've gotten plenty of lignite. That's on repeat. Let's start throwing in that we are going to melt the other ores. We're literally just gonna melt all the ores we have. We're just gonna do all the lignite, all the malachite, all the cassiterite, smelt it all down in the metals. So about that, now perhaps, yes, it would be useful at the beginning to do fishing as I normally do. I'm going to try to not have that as the reliable source of food that I always do. That's a bit admittedly easy mode. So I'll have more farms this time and try to use a variety of produce as our actual foodstuffs, though needs come first. If it turns out that I'm just too slow on the uptake for getting that to work, then yes, I will have to have a fishing thing, but I do not intend for it to become the primary source of food as I usually rely on it. Essentially we're gonna have to be half vegan. Though to be fair, fish, vegan, fish, beef. We're gonna need to have an actual ranch up here for our farm. My idea is like legit for the outer wall. We're gonna do a big outer wall, probably 10 from the edges, hole in the middle, middle south, wall up as the primary entryway, and have the barracks on either side, the initial barracks on either side. I don't think it'll be raining here, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. Hello, Hellfire, getting dwarf number 13. As nickname, 1213 will be up here. Hellfire Skyrim, it just works. Hellfire, you are the doctor who's also the weaponsmith. Eldritch, 5 is an odd number. You are the blacksmith metal crafter who also sets gems. And we have, that's the last dwarf for now. So I'm gonna stop that script. Dragaman, you got the last dwarf and dwarf number 8. You are the woodcutter, mason, stonecrafter. Of course. Everything I just said makes sense. Dragaman. Now, as we're doing this, because they gotta do some things, just literally going alphabetically. So I always get lost trying to do this chronologically. Domine. Domine, you have 2 friends, Eldritch and Cyrillac. The other 4, golly gee, are they assholes. You also pray to 1 deity, Kadol, a male dwarf associated with trade and wealth. Domine recently thought, I talked to my friend, I feel fond, because he talked with a friend. We don't know who it is though. Domine likes siltstone, nickel, silver, amethyst, color buff. The color buff. Goats for their eating habits and the words of the Umber Sparks. When possible, he prefers to consume giant honey badger and rice beer. He absolutely detests mussels. He has great creativity, a very good feel for social relationships, and a good spatial sense. But he has very bad analytical abilities, a poor memory, next to no empathy. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. Dragaman. Dragaman has 3 friends, Domine, Art of Stuttering, and Eldritch, and he too prays to Kadol. Dragaman recently thought, I felled a tree. I'm very satisfied. He felt this way after he felled a tree. Dragaman is clumsy and very slow to heal. Dragaman likes tin glaze, billin, rock crystal, clear glass, mulmarian leather, picks, shields, cloaks, earrings, cows for hunting moose, and the sound of the wisp of singing. When possible, he prefers to consume radish wine, and he absolutely detests flies. He has a great affinity for language, a great feel for social relationships, and the ability to read emotions fairly well, and good intuition, but he dreams of creating a great work of art someday. Hellfire Skyrim. You only have 1 friend, Eldritch, but Art of Stuttering is your lover. You too pray to Kadol. Hellfire Skyrim recently thought, you must never forget true loyalty. Repay it in full. Because he read a fucking Chinese fortune cookie. Hellfire Skyrim is mighty and tough, but he's slow to heal. Hellfire Skyrim likes selenite, bismuth, lapis lazuli, wombat tooth, the color charcoal, great earrings, ballista arrows, great white sharks for her ability to make one afraid to go into the water, the words of the Carmine scribe in the sight of the flicker of earth. When possible, prefers to consume nautilus, swamp whiskey, kangaroo's milk, and coffee cherries. He absolutely detests rats. He has great intuition, willpower, away with words, and good memory, but he has very bad analytical abilities and a very bad sense of empathy. He dreams of mastering a skill someday. Art of Stuttering. You may be surprised to figure out that Hellfire Skyrim is your lover. Though Domine and Cyrillac are your friends, you do pray to a different deity, Asar, the competition of circumstance, who most often takes the form of a female dwarf associated with luck, gambling, and games. Art of Stuttering recently thought, I've been contemplating the idea of games. Just what is it to roll a dice? Am I the roller or am I the rollee? Art of Stuttering, God, I did so well pronouncing it this entire time. Art of Stuttering is quite quick to heal and slow to tire, but she is weak. Art of Stuttering likes satin spar, pig iron, red tourmaline, clear glass, bull shark leather, the color yellow-green. Spears, cages, goats for eating habits, the words of the Carmine scribe, and the sound of the meandering wisp. When possible, she prefers to consume clown loach, tapered cheese, bilberry wine, taper's milk, and dwarven wheat flour. She absolutely detests cave spiders. She has willpower, away with words, and a sum of patience, but she has an iffy sense for music, though she dreams of raising a family someday. Eldritch. Eldritch, you have 2 close friends, Domine and Hellfire Skyrim, and Art of Stuttering is just a regular friend. You pray to Vesh, a skeletal male dwarf associated with lies, murder, and death. You're that person in the group of friends. Eldritch recently thought, I talked to my friend, I feel fond. After talking with a friend, I'm guessing that's The friend is the other person who felt fond talking with a friend. Eldritch is incredibly quick to heal and likes orpiment, copper, red barrel, two-legged rhino lizard horn. Two-legged rhino, it's one word. Two-legged rhino lizard horn. Giant snapping turtle shell, alpaca wool, the color cardinal, short swords, gauntlets, barrels, chains, guinea fowls for societal nature, penguins for their waddling gait, the sight of the satin of embracing. Oh, and the sight of the satin of embracing. When possible, we would first consume pendant amaranth beer and alpaca's milk, though he absolutely detests blood gnats. He has a great feel for social relationships, very good creativity and good memory, but he has quite poor focus. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. Cyrillac. Cyrillac has 4 friends and 1 deity. Cyrillac prays to Anol, a male dwarf associated with fire, volcanoes, earth, and mountains. And he counts among his inner circle Domine, Hellfire, Skyrim, Art of Stuttering, and Eldritch. Cyrillac recently thought in artisan, their materials, and the tools to shape them. She felt this way after talking with a friend, whatever that means. She is very rarely sick, but she is quite clumsy. Cyrillac likes bowsight, billin, brown jasper, giant warthog hoof, picks, bucklers, floodgates, goblets, water buffaloes for water wallowing, black mamba men for their aggression, the words of the tulip of bridges, and the sight of the flicker of earth. Also list. When possible, she prefers to consume oyster and rambutan wine. She absolutely detests jumping spiders. She has a sharp intellect, a great feel for the surrounding space, a good feel for social relationships, and a good kinesthetic sense, but she has next to no willpower. She dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. And last but not least, the Big Orange 415. Big Orange 415 has 1 close friend, Art of Stuttering, and 2, I like them in my circles, Hellfire, Skyrim, and Cyrillac. Big Orange 415 prays to Ono, a male human associated with forgiveness and mercy. Is that his name, or is that just what he's known for saying? Oh no! Forgiveness and mercy. I feel like the game is playing a joke on me. Who do you pray to? Oh no! What does he do? Forgiveness. What? Big Orange 415 recently thought, be merry. He is incredibly tough, quite quick to heal, agile, and rarely sick. Big Orange 415 likes bituminous coal, bismuth, veracite, bucklers, guinea fowls for their social nature, grapevines for their fruit, the words of the carmine scribe, the sound of the tenebrous bride, intricacies, and the sight of the wispy wonders. When possible, he prefers to consume blue jay and pineapple wine, though he absolutely detests moon snails. He has a great ability to focus, a deep well of patience, and a great memory, but he has poor creativity, very bad analytical abilities, and very bad intuition. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. Friends! Stuff of Hardering. Got friend. Death! Oh no! Alright, so we've covered over more waters, meaning that I can now cut down more trees without risking them disappearing into the great blue oblivion. This dwarf is still doing that, and I'm wondering, I didn't really look to see what the rainy season was like. The area was very hot, so I'm wondering if we don't get rain. Rain and precipitation being the negative thought causer for being above ground. Short of needing to have beds, I don't think we have to worry for being above ground. Though admittedly, the game is only run for a very short period of time. Usually I could have sworn we would have gotten a rain by now if this was the type of biome to have rain. It has been a month. We're gonna cover over more of the drownable water. And then I will move on to proper buildings and beds. After that, we can work on walls. Now, it is true that we do not have goblins for neighbors, so I am not directly worried right now about having an assault. Though, as we get worse and more dwarves, of course, we can always be attacked by bigger creatures, and we may just invite the anger of a passing necromancer or something like that as they come through. Worst case scenario, I will just have to piss off the elves. Or the humans. We do have both races as neighbors, though I believe the elves would be the easiest ones to piss off. Which reminds me, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition got rid of racial modifiers for their races. I made a comment, not about this directly, but in my YouTube video when I was evaluating the player's book for Pathfinder 2, I pointed out, because they did kind of something similar in Pathfinder 2 that reduces the role-playing nature of the game. Where in Pathfinder 2, because of one of the character creation, we'll say variant rules, essentially everyone was a human and humans were better than humans. If you get rid of they've apparently retconned and got rid of the ability modifiers in 5th edition, from what I understand. I could be wrong about this. It was something that I read when I woke up this morning and I perused the internet, so I don't have the full details. But assuming it is true, I don't understand. I'm literally flabbergasted right now at 5th edition. If I were to DM 5th edition, I would not do that set of rules. I'm sorry, that just does not make sense to me. You can roleplay everything. Right? Like, it's a role-playing game. You are free to roleplay things. If you want a change to your stats, work it out with a backstory with the DM. If mechanically, as a base rule, you get rid of the numbers, there's nothing really to roleplay. Like, you can roleplay your personality for day in and day out, but like the character you're roleplaying as is an extension of your roleplaying. Like, your numbers, your roles are different than other people. So it's that much more amazing when you pull off like the social interaction role, because your guy doesn't have those stats. Or, you know, it's just kind of like, oh, you are so good at magic. It's, you know, amazing. You know, your intelligence is so high, it's amazing when you fail them. I don't understand why, because this isn't just 5th edition. Like I said, Pathfinder did something similar to this with Pathfinder 2. I don't understand why there's a trend right now with role-playing games where they're getting rid of essentially the dice. They're getting rid of the modifiers on the dice, so everyone's die is the same. Quite frankly, that's getting rid of the dice. And like, I know you're rolling that because someone's gonna argue, oh, well, you know, you're still rolling the dice. What are you talking about? You know, there's less things that now it's just more important what the dice says. But that's less than role-playing. It really is. The dice is mechanically how your character is able to do that. I can role-play myself as being the strongest man in the world. I can say I am, but if I made a fucking wizard, now realize in this case, I'm just talking about racial modifiers. So some races are stronger than others. It's just, I find it weird that like, it's part of a trend is what it is. Not this particular change in general, but it's part of a trend where they're just slowly getting rid of the dice, and I don't understand why. There are diceless role-playing games. If you're gonna do that game, just do that game. I don't understand why the games that are based upon dice are trying to become diceless. My dwarf is just like, meh. Oh, this is true. I didn't actually pay attention to who was reciprocating which friendships, did I? I think I've gone overboard in covering the water. Might have to worry about that later. All right, we'll let them do as they are. They got rid of negative. Ah, okay. They still have positive ones. That is slightly different than what I read. Still part of a weird trend, though, where they're getting rid of things. I still stick by my statements, but that is a lot. That's not as far down the insanity trail as I thought we were. I thought they had gotten rid of the racial modifiers. Because I knew I heard a bit ago for 5th edition that they were going to be releasing a book and they're going to have alternate rules to have differing sets of racial modifiers. So I thought that they just threw in the towel and got rid of racial modifiers as a general. Certain races having differing positives, all right, that's still a difference. I will walk back that statement, but that's still kind of weird. So now it's just, what does everyone excel at? You can't excel at something and be a jack of trades and other things. You have to be bad at something to excel at something else. I mean, quite frankly, life is essentially, in terms of, you know, what you end up being, a zero-sum game. You spend a ton of time socializing, you have less time for weightlifting. You spend a ton of time weightlifting, you have less time for book reading. You spend time book reading and weightlifting, you have less time for socializing. There's only so much time in a day. Also, Davos?
Thank you so much.
Davos, do you hate the Doctor? Do you wish you would leave your creations alone? To be fair, that's Davros, not Davos, but thank you so much for following. When we get dwarves in, you can get dwarfed. Unfortunately, all the current dwarves are claimed. I'm sorry. It was first come, first serve. So just bear with me, Davos, on that, and I can get you a dwarf. But, like, I suppose that makes sense. Here's my thought on that, then, because that does change a few things. If you're going to get rid of the negatives on a race, because, all right, maybe you don't like the idea that some races are worse at things than others, while some are better at things than others, even though that was me using Coke. What they should do, in my opinion, then, working off this new information, is they should make your backstory more prevalent. If you're gonna take the negatives off the races, you should put the negatives on your history. I know 5th edition does that. Except right now, I think they just do it for proficiencies. Might be wrong about that. There should be negatives inherent in your backstory then, in your history. If you're gonna take it out of the races, fine. Trying to think of what has negatives. I want to say intelligence for orcs or half orcs, and dwarves were bad in charisma. Or elves bad at strength? Elves were bad at strength. If you want to say that you were an elf that worked out, so therefore you should have strength, I guess they'll go with that. But I don't think they did that, did they? They just got rid of negatives from races that are not doing the whole story right. But I can kind of see that. Those races had negative models to begin with. It's not even didn't have them. Oh, maybe that's where I was reading that they weren't there to begin with. And see, okay, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of part of the problem is I don't actually have the full story for these other games. I just get smidgens of it on the internet when I wake up. It's all right. If other races didn't have them, then yeah, I suppose it would make sense to get rid of them for what races did. Like, who did and who didn't have them? And then second part of that question, do they have negative modifiers on your backstory portion of character creation? Because you should have negatives on your character. Now, we have hit the hour. So, those of you who are watching on the YouTube archive, give me a sec. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.